All right, we'll get to another Q&A. And yeah, different day. We're in the same hoodie. I rotate the hoodies because it's cold in this house. And then I drink stuff and then drink stuff with ice and chew ice, and then my body temperature drops. And so it's a roller coaster of uh, thermogenesis, right? Um, Speaking of that, someone asked me about like drinking cold water versus warm water. Uh, so here's some things that I see is a benefit or maybe an adverse effect. So there are some people that claim that yes, drinking cold water, ice cold water, makes your body increase energy production to a certain degree. We're talking like maybe a calorie of extra burning to increase the temperature of the ice cold water. But also, they said an adverse effect could be that it may worsen symptoms like leaky gut syndrome. Um, so if you have like trouble with digestion, ice cold water, probably not the best idea. However, warm water or even lukewarm water, it seems to improve digestion and help with the gastric transit time. So if you have a slow gastric transit time, that's why things like hot teas or just room temperature water may help improve digestion. Other people, it's just disgusting. So I'm one of those people that find it disgusting. Anyways, let's see. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen because I found this interesting that this, nope, that's not it. Let's see. Stop sharing my screen. That, okay, this one. This is what I want to share. Okay, so this popped up about a common ingredient in energy drinks linked to blood cancer growth study finds. So this is specifically involving taurine, and they said energy drinks because it's a multi-billion dollar industry by now uh, that is linking it to the growth of leukemia. Now, again, this is all on news channels, all throughout the internet, and it's a fear-mongering effect. What we do know is that cancer cells, they can use anything as energy, whether it be glucose, amino acids, or like even ketones, right? They're not really as specific as we once thought back in the day, which is why uh, it was thought that if you went on a ketogenic diet, uh, you would be able to control the growth of the cancer, but that's not the case, right? That's we find that some cancer cells, because they're all different, some of them may prefer a specific source of energy, but they want to survive and they want to grow, metastasize as much as possible. And so they're going to adapt to energy sources. That's what we know. It's the same way our body works. Uh, like I've had um, benign cancer, and I've been on a high carbohydrate diet and low fat diet, and the and I didn't have any like negative side effects, right? It didn't grow or become uh, hazardous to me, right? It didn't mess up my blood work. But then I have also done the opposite, where I've done a full-on ketogenic diet. Yeah, clinical ketogenic diet, where it's like 90% of your calories coming from fat, and then 10% or 9% coming from protein, and then 1% from trace carbs. But then I've also done carnivore, and I've done intermittent fasting, and I've done paleo. I've done all these types of diets and lifestyles. And I did them for definitely more than 6 months. So I can have a say like how it right, so I can have an opinion about how it worked. And by far the most efficient and most effective diet has been a high carb, moderate protein, and low fat diet. So what that looks like for me is that I'm trying to get around 3 grams of carbs per pound of body weight because I am leaner. I don't know what I am. Some some pictures I look like 10%. Some pictures I look like 12%, maybe even 15. But usually 10 to 12 is usually what I have around. Sometimes I'll drop down to like 8. DEXA scans really don't work too well. Same thing with bod pods. Bod pods are probably the most accurate. But just looking at my physique, uh, so 3 grams of carbs per pound of body weight, 1.5 grams of protein per pound of body weight, up to 2 grams of protein per pound of body weight, depends on how good my digestion is that day. And then zero point 0.2 to zero point 0.3 grams of fat per pound of body weight. Okay, so that's where I'm at. If I had a lot of body fat, like if I was like above 15% as a male, I would not use body like my body weight as a unit of measurement in that. I would use, let's say, 2 grams of carbs per lean mass, right? So whatever body weight you are, and then just say 15% of that or 20% of that is fat. So you get the idea, right? That's how you would eat for your body weight or your lean body mass. Um, but anyways, the idea that taurine causes cancer is absurd. Again, it's just a fear mongering effect. That would be like Bob drinks and Bob has cancer. Water causes cancer. Um, it's just, or microplastics and stuff like that. I mean, you're using a phone that has microplastics, and for them to tell you you're in danger of microplastics, but yet they're using all these devices, and then they're also driving to work in a car that's a box of plastic sitting in the heat or severe cold. Either way, extreme temperatures release these toxins, these estrogens, and these forever chemicals. So it's dumb. I think that causes more stress, and then the stress is actually what causes other health factors like you know uh, pulmonary issues, cardiovascular issues, uh, cancers. I think stress plays a huge role. Inflammatory increases. So don't listen to that. The whole taurine causes leukemia to metastasize or grow or to spread. Um, again, it's just dumb. If that's the case, we all have cancer because we've been eating meats and or food that has amino acids. The next thing I saw pop up was they're trying to increase the amount of uh, focus on GLP-1 and peptide YY because it's going to help to reduce appetite. And they're trying to use like natural sources. And so I think someone popped up something about like cottage cheese is the best source. And really, we're just looking at proteins itself, lean protein sources. So lean protein sources like a uh, beef tenderloin or London broil versus the prime rib, right? Or I forget some of the or ribeye. I forget some of the fatty cuts of meat because I don't like them, right? I think it's useless. But the lean sources of protein, eggs, dairy, I just think that's funny that our society has been so driven into uh, this whole increasing GLP-1, which is good because it helps people realize, yeah, you're fat because you are eating too many calories. And we got that part settled. But now we need to shift to, okay, what types of food can actually produce or increase a better GLP-1 and peptide YY production within my body? How can I do it naturally without having to spend money on GLP-1 generation drugs? I don't think they're a bad thing. I use retatrutide. I'm very open about that, but I use that at a very low dose, 1 milligram per week, because I'm trying to reduce an addictive personality. I really want to mitigate that. And it keeps my other blood markers and organs really healthy, is what I'm finding out. Because again, I've showed my blood work. I've never had a liver blood work come back as well as it has, nor have I had my HDL come back as high as it has. Um, so so we got that down, and then the next step is okay. Well, now we need to have more physical activity and increase resistance training. Why? Because resistance training helps to increase GLUT4, and that can help transport this nutrition that we're eating into our muscle cells. And there's different uh, and receptors, or are they receptors or are they proteins? GLUT, whatever they are. I can find that out right now. But it helps to increase the GLUT4, which is specifically for bringing in, why can't I type? Okay, there we go. Uh, Nutrition into your muscle cells. And so it helps with recovery, aids in satiety. So yeah, so it's a protein. Okay. Um, but we're on the right track. We're just taking a long time because with all this information at our fingertips, it is very distracting for people to get the right information, and everyone wants the easy way out. And they also think that everything they read on the internet is true or listen to. And again, I totally understand because I am on the internet, but I'm not married to one concept. And I know that there are things that I have had an opinion about in the past that I have changed my mind. And I think that shows great growth and open-mindedness. And that shows that you are intelligent, right? Because it's stupid to think that things never change uh, and that you can't be wrong sometimes. I am wrong sometimes. It's part of it. So we'll answer some questions. This one guy, he says, when do hunger pains and weaknesses go away on a 16/8 intermittent fasting? Uh, so he's doing it. So after 5 days, the hunger is intense and you can barely have any strength. So right there off the bat, that tells me that that diet or that lifestyle, technically it's a lifestyle, is not for you, man. If you're trying to grow muscle, trying to be very anabolic and building muscle while maintaining like, oh, maybe a family or outside activities from your work, maybe you have kids, I don't know, you don't say, but that's probably not the right thing for you. Maybe you have an active job, a little bit more active. So now you're trying to be active at the job, plus you are going to the gym, plus you're going to take your kids to practice. You know, if you're finding any way that whatever style of eating that you're eating in currently is negatively impacting your performance in the gym, I would switch to a different uh, style of eating. I say I've done intermittent fasting. Again, I've done it, but it works really well in settings where I'm very busy, um, to where I need to get things done, or like working in a hospital. You have to have a good amount of time to get all your work done, and then you can eat. But those foods that you have to eat, it has to be very calorically dense, and it also has to be very small in volume, so you don't distend your stomach so much. So we're talking like extra protein sources coming from like your lean meats, but then also you got to add in like a protein shake on top of it if you're going to have a large number of macronutrients to hit. Things, again, I go back to things like dates, honey, very low volume, but you can pack in a lot of calories with tons of nutrition. For fat sources, you can eat a Brazil nut, right? I mean, you can graze on some like a handful of nuts if you need to, or throughout the day, just have a bag set aside and then you can kind of graze on that during your hours of eating. So a lot of people love the intermittent fasting because they have more mental clarity. Totally fine with that, right? If it works for you and you have peak performance in the gym, some people are just able to do it naturally, but a lot of people find it better to be enhanced. Plus, having salt and baking soda in your water that you're drinking throughout the day, and even potassium, magnesium. So there's electrolytes that can also help you. You might break the fast technically because some of those things may have artificial sweeteners in there, which may artificially, or may like, it may make your body think that you're getting in something, so it's going to spit out some insulin. So now you're not getting the whole less insulin produced, but then you're not doing it for like 72 hours whenever it's the autophagy of the benefits of fasting. So it's just really a way of eating that makes you comfortable, especially people who have desk jobs. If they find that if they eat carbohydrates, they get a little bit fatigued and more brain fog just because their blood sugar spikes and then it drops. And for that case, I would say 10-minute walks after eating helps to level out blood sugar. You take things like berberine, you can change what you're eating. and just have carbohydrates around your workout, but then have a protein fasting uh, type of eating. So eat protein and nothing else, and then have your carbs around your workout. So before, during, and after. Okay, what's the best way to reduce calories? Super broad. So, for example, daily caloric deficit, weekly as an intermittent fasting, or monthly, 3 days of dieting, 1 day of extra protein and carbs to prevent metabolic shutdown in any science. Well, there's no metabolic shutdown. You metabolically adapt to something, and it has to be very consistent for many, many days. And you have to make your body think that it's not going to have any food or nutrition coming in after it's been reduced to using glycogen from your muscles, glycogen from your liver, which your body will use whenever cortisol spikes. It's going to uh, increase cortisone and then glucagon, right? So it's going to release a lot of glucose into your bloodstream. And then after that, it's hard to break down fatty acids. It's even harder to break down muscle through gluconeogenesis. So creating that glucose from muscle, I would say the best way to reduce calories is to track it, macronutrients, and then split it up in meals that you want to have throughout the day. And what I like to do is I don't like to have a large deficit from Monday through Friday. And then people want to do that and then they binge on Saturday and Sunday. The problem is if you're not in a prep to where you're so low body fat, where we want to refeed, you're not going to get the benefits. If you still have body fat on you, just stick to the diet every single day. I don't know how hard it is. Stick to the same macronutrients. So, um, sorry, my kid. Um, you going off plan for those 2 days, it does kind of make the body adjust a little bit. So now you might actually increase, angiotensin, and you might increase water retention from that. Uh, and then it takes your body to a couple of days to fluctuate to get back to reducing water retention and looking less bloated. But during that time, your mind plays a trick on you and says, "Oh, I gained body fat," but really it's just fluid from the weekend. Maybe you consume alcohol during that time. I think alcohol is terrible. I think alcohol is the number one reason why people have cancer. So instead of taurine causing leukemia to grow, I believe it is alcohol, right? I think that that puts a huge stress on your body. It's the same reason why I think alcohol causes a lot of deaths and a lot of fights and aggression. I don't think is there's not as much anabolic aggression or what they call it, roid rage, as there is alcohol rage. And we know that because more people are taken into prison and jail due to domestic violence after and during drinking. So do yourself a favor. Why don't you stop drinking and maybe just inject a little bit of testosterone? If you're someone who has a bad attitude, it might make it shine more. Or it might make you feel better and euphoric that you don't want to be angry all the time. Because maybe you're angry because something else is off balance in your body, some other hormone. Maybe you have too much estrogen, right? So we look at this. So we look at like a woman on their period. Their estrogen high is high, spikes up. You know when to back away from your spouse or significant other because they are more moody, right? It's the estrogen. Okay. Taking vitamins and supplements same time as taking Metamucil. So I'm trying to lose weight, maybe build a little muscle. So I try to take all my meds and half my supplements in the morning. Then take the other half of supplements with lunch. So like today, I ate 900 to 1,000 calories, homemade chicken wrap and salad for lunch. For some reason, I was still feel hungry. Hmm. So I mix a spoonful of Metamucil and a large glass of water. Should I wait before I take supplements so that doesn't absorb nutrition? It doesn't really not matter. Okay, so pretty much he's saying, first of all, I don't know why he gave me the. I applaud your attempt at detail. I don't need to know that you have a chicken wrap and a salad for lunch. But so should you be taking vitamins alongside with a fiber supplement? No, I don't think you should. I think that there is in some cases, you might have some vitamins, that are either water soluble or fat soluble that do So especially if they're fat soluble, the fiber may bind to them and reduce the the fat getting to the the bile getting to the fat and helping your body absorb that fat soluble vitamin. Water soluble vitamins, maybe it slows it down to where it can't really degrade in the stomach acid and get to your small intestine and help to be absorbed better, uh, especially when we're talking about different types of uh, pills that have release, like timed release. There's a lot of that technology going out now. So I would say always on the safe side, take your supplements and then 30 minutes later to 45 minutes later, take your fiber supplement if you want to do a fiber. I prefer taking fiber supplements before you go to bed. So if you want to take any of your nighttime supplements or medications, take them at least 30 to 45 minutes before taking Metamucil, some sort of non-psyllium husk fiber like acacia fiber or konjac fiber, be better on your stomach. Or if you want a high grade of psyllium husk, I don't know how true this is, but everyone swears by Fiberlize, by Species Nutrition. Uh, they say you just have massive dumps in the morning. So it's still psyllium husk. I haven't tried it personally. I haven't tried it personally, but I've had other people take it, and that's what they say. So, anyways, does anyone get a protein bloat after more than 40 grams? Okay. I've always had problems with bodybuilder diets. Do you have people that eat more than 40 or 50 grams of protein in one sitting, and do they have bloat? Okay. So your hunger is blunted because, yeah, you're bloated. It might be the type of protein that you're eating. You could get an allergy test done to see if you have any IgG to some sort of or IgG response to some sort of protein. So like egg whites, white chicken, fish, beef, dairy. Uh, so you can get that done and see allergy versus intolerance. And then you have different like severe allergy, moderate allergy. Um, I forgot there's another one, but you can get that tested out and then kind of play around, man. I bet if you eat 40 grams of tilapia or cod, I bet you're not going to bloat. 50 grams of cod, you're not going to bloat. 50 grams of chicken breast, yeah, you're probably going to bloat, right? Especially if you're eating something else alongside with it, some other carbs. Are you eating potatoes with it, right? Or eat white rice or cream of rice, okay? Eat some sort of faster digesting carbohydrate. Do not eat oatmeal. If you eat oatmeal plus another 50 grams of protein, you're probably going to bloat. That's just what happens. So really, you got to look at the food choices and the food combinations. And then on top of that, so after you look at that, is there too much fat in that meal? Um, so sometimes people find I've had clients where I need to add an extra 5 grams of fat from some source, like a macadamia nut oil or a nut butter, which again, I hate nut butters, but they that seems to help digestion with some of their food. Or maybe there's not enough salt, or maybe we have to use the potassium, like a new salt, where it's a salt alternative. So it's potassium chloride, really helps to restore cellular potassium better than potassium citrate. Or maybe you have like are you using um, any type of seasoning, right? So garlic powder, onion powder, spices, things like that may increase bloating as well. So I wouldn't be so immediate to blame the protein. Again, look at the sources of protein. Like if I eat 20 grams of protein from egg whites, I am bloated. I am a hot air balloon. Okay, how do this leads into this? How do we spice up our veggies and baked potatoes? Um, he's got a lot of like spices that he's something healthy or something as healthy and bland as a baked potato could be spiced up with. So he's like, can't believe it's not butter. No, don't use that crap. Fake butter, Mrs. Dash, low sugar ketchup, low sodium soy sauce, Tabasco, sriracha sauce. Hummus? What? That's just more carbs and fats, man. That's hummus is don't put that on a baked potato. Then don't eat the baked potato. Eat the hummus. Use real, if you're going to use butter, use real butter. Okay. Um, I prefer macadamia oil or real butter, grass-fed butter. Don't use that fake stuff, man. It's just canola oils and other crap that, and I know Dexter Jackson did it. He used to like open the bottle of I can't believe it's not butter and like pour it. He's like 0 calories. No, that's not how it is. Same thing like in the aerosol cans. Get rid of that crap, man. Just get some macadamia oil, put it in a glass spray bottle, pour it in there. Don't use the air stuff. I'm telling you, it's way better. You can use sriracha sauce, Tabasco, and all that. Again, if it's something that upsets your stomach, I wouldn't. You can use low sugar ketchup, low sugar barbecue sauce, totally fine. Mrs. Dash, totally fine. A lot of us have more potassium, but now you're putting potassium on top of a baked potato that has a lot of potassium. I would put salt on top of it, or even something like wakame flakes, so some sort of seaweed that's going to have an umami flavor. I think that's really good. You could use sodium soy sauce, low sodium soy sauce. I prefer the liquid coconut aminos. Those are awesome. And you can mix it in with some honey mustard, allulose, or monk fruit sweetener, and then that uh, um, coconut amino and mix it up. And it's a great sauce to drizzle on top of it. As far as steamed vegetable goes, you can go a different route with steamed vegetables. Throw it in the air fryer. Anything to break down the cellulose that is around the vegetable itself to make it easier to absorb, that's going to be your friend. Okay. If you like them mushy, you can steam them. I don't like them mushy. I want them charred. I want that carcinogen. I want it. It tastes good. And then put some salt on top of it, some pepper, and they're good. And you can use whatever sauce you want that is low calorie to no calories, as long as it doesn't hurt your tummy. Carb loading question. So my friend is a keto tard and scared of carbs. I was blah, 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 blah. Told him I eat 350 per day, and he bet me I couldn't eat 1,000 grams of carbs. So here I am. Sunday I cut my carbs to 100. Monday 100. Today 50. Tomorrow 25. I don't know when you wrote this. And Friday I'm going as close to zero as I can. Saturday I'm carb loading 1,000 grams. Have you used this to fill out or spill over? Again, man, what's your body fat percentage? I use carb loading if you are extremely lean and you are very anabolic and enhanced. It works well. That's the reason why we do it. Now you can spill over for maybe a day, but then you can reduce the carbs. Don't go 0 carbs because that's you're losing the point of carbing up. Uh, you just reduce the carbs, take some vitamin C, take like 5,000 milligrams of vitamin C, take take a gram of dandelion and get rid of some of that water if you do spill over. Choose your carbs wisely. Again, high high carb, low volume. Uh, you can totally do that. I don't know what your so 350 man. I would probably do 200, 200, 200, 200, 200, 75, 75, and then do 1,000. This is what I would do. I wouldn't go completely down to zero. Again, if you're lean, you're working out, you're using those carbs, and then you will blow up. Okay, how about last one? Cortisol and bulking. I mostly do cortisol control reduction for the stress relief, and everyone always says it's for weight loss, but does it help at all with building muscle? Yeah. Um, yeah, if your cortisol is high, again, cortisol converts to cortisone, increases glucagon, so it does help to release the glucose from stored areas. Okay, so you got that part. It also reduces the amount of insulin being pumped out, so insulin's anabolic. And it also helps with lipolysis, so breaking down of fatty acids and using those as fuel. However, if you're in a chronic state of very high cortisol due, due to lifestyle and training, because again, training puts a load on that, plus dieting, so you got life, job, family, training, and diet, so your calorie intake, And if you stay a very high cortisol spike, you're going to have crappy sleep. Now, crappy sleep, you're going to have even more cortisol. So now your body's going to try to pump uh, more glucose from your liver while you're sleeping at night. Now you're going to maybe have night sweats and such. Now, you so so you can control cortisol spikes. Like we need the cortisol spike to be in the morning. Now, what you can do, because it wakes you up, puts puts glucose into the bloodstream, increased blood sugar. Now, what you can do, and I know there's a big debate about this, about fasted cardio versus non-fasted cardio. I'm a believer fasted cardio works better. It's just anecdotally it works better. I know in science, in diseased states or natural people that want to claim if it fits your macros, I know that they say it doesn't matter. You're going to burn the same amount of calories. I'm sorry. I just don't think it does as far as recomping the body and making the body shuttle nutrition to where you need it to be and having a very good post anabolic response to that fasted cardio. And I'm talking about steady state cardio. I'm not talking about high intensity interval training. Now, if that's the case, I would definitely continue to increase carb consumption during HIIT training. You're going to have better results as far as building muscle and utilizing fat as fuel throughout the day. Okay. But I think that it does help build muscle when controlled properly. Okay. Because you want your cortisol to go down at night. You want it to spike up and then drop down. Yes, after working out, it's going to spike up. And that's why you take things like whey protein plus collagen to help increase the um, geez, uh, the parasympathetic nervous system. Geez, there we go. Because it's going to help rest and digest. Okay, that's what we want. We don't want the sympathetic nervous system in overdrive and causing your adrenals to continue pumping out epinephrine and norepinephrine and causing these issues and higher elevated chronic cortisol. So there you go. That's it. All right. If you got any more questions, just leave them for me in my DM on Instagram, or you can write them in the comments below. Like, share, subscribe with people that do these stupid fad diets and think that fasted cardio is worthless, and they think that if it fits your macros is the greatest thing on earth. Share it with those people. Thank you if you came this far.